Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rebecca Keppel. Today's video is a quick and easy alcohol ink background video. Personally, I love the look of alcohol inks and those backgrounds can be really stunning, but I kind of struggle with making them not look messy. So for today's video, I'm going to share how I keep my alcohol ink backgrounds very simple, which helps keep them from looking too mushy and busy. First, I'm going to do a quick review of the products that I'm using today that I think make it really much easier to create alcohol ink backgrounds. First, you'll need something to protect your work surface. I like using the We Are Memory Keepers glass mat because it really protects my desk from any of the alcohol inks. Then you'll need some actual inks. These aren't all alcohol inks. Most are just ink refills, but I have about 20 alcohol inks because I don't use them all the time. I have some mixatives, I have some plain alcohol inks, I have some alcohol pearl inks, and I have a few alloys. This organizer is one that I've shared before, but I will link to it in the supply list if you're interested because they do fit in there perfectly. All of my alcohol ink products are from Tim Holtz, including this blending solution. For cleanup and some other techniques, I have 70% rubbing alcohol and a microfiber towel. To move the colors around, I have the Tim Holtz alcohol ink blower, and you can use any squeeze bulb like this, but please do not use a straw because it's dangerous to inhale any of these products. Lastly, I have several alcohol ink surfaces to work on. I use Tim Holtz's Yupo paper, and I have a variety of it, including silver sparkle, brushed silver, white cardstock, and translucent sheets. You can use any slick surface such as vellum or photo paper, but I like using papers that are made specifically for alcohol inks because I feel like I get the best results. Now that you've seen what I'm using, let's dive right into creating some backgrounds. I started by creating some droplets of pool alcohol ink on brushed silver Yupo paper, and then to move the color around a bit, I hit it with the blower. I'm trying not to go overboard with too much alcohol ink, but you can see how quickly it dries, and there's definitely not enough movement of color for my taste here. This is a sign for me that I need to add something else. I went with the alcohol blending solution this time. I love the way that it really moves the alcohol ink around, but doesn't completely erase it like the rubbing alcohol does, and you'll see that later in this video. The blower both moves the color around and dries it quickly at the same time. Not necessary, of course, but I do like the shapes that you can create by adding the puffs of air. You could also just lift the paper and tilt it if you prefer to do that. I decided to add some alcohol pearl and Tranquil. Now the pearl bottles need to be shaken really well. I don't like to do that on camera to make you dizzy. And they have a small metal ball inside to help mix it all up. I've also found them to be a bit messier, and sometimes the metallic aspect or the ball gets stuck in the nozzle a bit, but you can't beat the look of how they come out when you use them. Next, I'm using the silver alloy. This is different than silver mixative. The mixative does exactly what it says. It helps mix the colors while adding a metallic to them. The alloy can sit on top and does not mix the colors I already have down. To break up the alloy a little bit, I'm using the blending solution again, right on top of the alloy. And this time, when I blow it around, it's starting to look exactly like I had imagined. I think the key to keeping these from being a mess is sticking to just a few colors that mix well and leaving some open spaces, which gives the eye room to rest. Plus the silver on silver is so pretty. For the next card, I'm working on silver sparkle Yupo paper, and I decided to use 4 colors of alcohol ink, but to avoid a mess, I'm going to use very small amounts of each of them. I'm going to drop them at the same time. Honestly, love the look just as is, but I decided to use some air to connect the droplets, and yikes, there goes a bottle on the run through the alcohol ink. The middle got the least amount of love, so I decided to add a few more drops of the pearl there. Since the basic color gradient was done, I added bits more of each color one at a time, adding the air to move them around after each application. So in this case, there are no open areas between the colors, but there is open space all around the outside to again keep it from looking too messy. You need just a little bit of white space on the panel, I think, to really kind of make that alcohol ink shine. I absolutely love the look of this one, and the Silver Sparkle Yupo shines even through the colors. I'm making holiday cards today, but these would be great New Year's cards or birthday or congratulations cards too. For this next card, I'm working on the Silver Sparkle Yupo paper again. Remember in the first card where I dropped one color in several areas and then used the blower? Well, this time I'm placing a droplet and then immediately using the blower on it, which gives you a lot more movement before that alcohol ink dries because it dries very quickly, especially with the blower. I love the fun ink droplet shapes you can create by using this method. I'm going to apply some pearl alcohol inks to add another color, and I'm going to use the same method of applying the color and then adding the air to move it around immediately. Another tip I have is to place a second color like this on the edge of the previous color so you get some blending between the two, but you can also see each unique color as well. I'm using the same technique with the silver alloy, just touching a tiny droplet to the edge of the color that's already down, and then immediately using air on it to move it around. And like I mentioned earlier, keeping some spaces open really helps keep it from looking too messy. For this last background, I'm working on the translucent Yupo paper and using just watermelon alcohol ink and silver alloy. I'm using the same technique of dropping color and then adding air immediately. I'm also lifting up the paper while dripping on the alloy to add even more different shapes to the droplets of the silver. To add a slightly different look to this one, I filled a plastic cap with the rubbing alcohol that I had, and I dipped a paintbrush in it and then splattered it all over the panel. You can see right away that the alcohol reacts with the color and the alloy. This really shows the difference between the blending solution that we used earlier and regular alcohol. The blending solution does exactly what it says and blends the colors together. The rubbing alcohol reacts by pushing the color away and essentially erasing it from where the alcohol lands. And I just love the different looks that you can achieve depending on what technique you're using. Now, I'll admit, in creating these simpler backgrounds, I did have some failures. So a lot of this is just trial and error and seeing what you like and what the outcome you want is. So now let's do some quick and easy cards out of these alcohol ink backgrounds. For this first card, I'm using the oversized piece combo from Waffle Flower. I'm going to stamp the love, joy, and on the background and then combine it with the piece word die. I'm going to heat emboss, so I want to be sure to treat the panel with anti-static powder and then brush away the excess powder. Then ink up the stamp with Versamark ink, and lastly pour the white embossing powder on top and carefully heat set, making sure to not hold the heat tool on the panel for too long because you don't want to melt that Yupo paper and you don't want to singe anything there on the alcohol side. I'm going to choose a color of Memory Box Holiday Glitter Paper Pad cardstock to cut the piece die out of. I also cut a piece word die out of white cardstock, and I'm going to layer the two on top of each other with Thermoweb Ultra Bond liquid glue so that it can give the piece die cut some dimension, because otherwise I felt like it was getting a little lost on that really colorful background. But I love the way all of that glitter and shine looks together between the shiny Yupo paper and then the glittery alcohol inks from the pearls and then the glitter cardstock piece on top. For this green card, I am going to use Waffle Flower's Merry Christmas word die, which is very, very detailed and fine. So I like to use it with Thermoweb's iCraft Easy Cut adhesive. And the way to use the Easy Cut is to peel off one of the protective layers. It's a double-sided sheet, so you peel off one protective layer and then lay that open adhesive on the back of whatever you're going to die cut. And I'm going to be die cutting this gold glitter cardstock. So now I need to lay the die with the cutting side down on the glitter cardstock and then put it through the Gemini Junior with a metal shim to really cut through the glitter cardstock and the adhesive. Then remove the die cut and it will have adhesive on the back, and you just need to place it down on the panel, and you can kind of burnish it with a bone folder if you feel like it's not sticking right away. The eye dot was stuck in the die still, so I just place the die down onto the die cut, lining it up, and then use the Spellbinders tool and one to poke that out and in its perfect place. The red background was pretty busy, so I trimmed it down and placed it on white cardstock. And then I die cut the Waffle Flower oversized Mary word die out of red glitter cardstock from that same Memory Box paper pad. I adhered the die cut with tape runner since it was thick enough to use on the back. I kept this one super simple to let that background shine. For the last card, I'm going to use the Season's Greetings stamp from the Big Dots Holiday Waffle Flower stamp set, and I'm stamping it on white cardstock with Blueprint Sketch Distress Oxide ink. I trimmed the stamped sentiment down and used the tape runner to adhere it to the alcohol ink panel. I flipped the panel over and trimmed off the excess with nonstick scissors. Then I used the Ultra Bond liquid glue to adhere the alcohol ink panel to an A2 blue glitter piece of cardstock. I found that the thick glitter like this really kind of resists the tape runner a bit, so liquid glue works perfectly here. I decided to add some snowflake stamps from the oversized Mary stamp set, so I'm stamping them with tumbled glass Distress Oxide ink in the Mini Misty to make sure that they stay in place. Last but not least, I did add a few sequins and gems here and there to add some additional dimension and shine, but otherwise kept these cards pretty simple so that those stunning alcohol inks could really steal the show. So let me know down in the comments below if you've played with alcohol inks before, or if now you're willing to give them a try. If you want to see more quick and easy cards, I have an entire playlist of them over here. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell so you can be notified every time I have a new video available. As always, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon.